And, first he kind of has a look of what the is this? But then when he brings it back down, he's like, and the dude tells him, go with God. And he says something along the lines of,
God's going to sit this one out.
What's your favorite scary movie? It's one of this.
Everybody, welcome back. Another episode of the Arrow in the Head Show. That would make me Lance. Of course, the Arrow, Mr. John Fallon. It's good to see you as always, buddy. How you been?
I'm just dandy. How you doing?
Lovely.
Yeah.
You're doing well, buddy. Doing well.
That's good, man. That's good. I hope you guys and dolls are doing great on your end as well. I'm pretty pumped for today's show because it's basically covering my favorite quote unquote superhero, super anti-hero, the Punisher. But before we get into that, we got some pretty cool news for you guys. Well, not that fucking cool, but cool enough for Lance to run with it right now.
We decided to do something a little bit different to interact with people because we are people persons.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, we are.
Sure. Why not? So we got basically an 800 number that we want people to sort of call in to basically leave recommendations,
questions,
I would say, life goals. If you want to talk some shit, have some fun, I just think, why not?
We're asking for it. Every message, go fuck yourself, go fuck yourself, go fuck yourself.
I will make the best go fuck yourself at it. It'll be epic. I mean, hey, if you're going to call and waste your own time, I would say, God bless. I want you to call 888-39-ARROW. We couldn't get 69, so 39 is the best I can do. 888-39-ARROW.
There you go. Call, questions, comments, and of course, if it's questions, maybe even comments, we'll, respond on the show. We'll probably play their voices, right? And then, kind of like address what was said. So, right? Drinks?
I've been on a mojito kick and I am still on it. For some reason, I've decided that I want to perfect it. It's very important for me to perfect anything that I make. I'm very rigid like that. I perfected Manhattan. I can make one of the best Manhattans you ever had.
Really? You'll have to make me one.
Very good. But the mojito was kind of hard because it can't be too sweet. The same Cosmopolitan. Can't be too dry because that's not a mojito. It's a refreshing summer drink. So I have made, once again, a mojito, and I bought a lot of clear rum, a lot of mint, made my own.
You love mint, eh? You love mint, eh?
I do.
Well, I hate mint. Fuck mint. And I hate mojitos. That's me. Well, look, straight up, I wanted to get a bottle of Wild Turkey because in The Punisher 2004, the movie we're going to speak of, that's what he drinks. And he looks really cool fucking drinking it. But I'm not a big fan of Wild Turkey. It tastes like turpentine to me. So
it's a Miskin whiskey, yes.
Yeah. So I just went Jameson, my good buddy. That usually gets me in trouble. But it's the Punisher, dude. So I had to do it. I can do a Punisher episode and drink a fucking margarita in a box like I had last night. No fucking way. Cheers to you. Let's punish.
Hello, my friend. Hey!
We're supposed to be talking to Thomas Jane tomorrow to talk about the Punisher and Dirty Laundry. So we'll ask him directly.
Jonathan Fallon, I'm going to let you actually lead because I know this is one of your favorite movies, and I want to give you
the Punisher himself. There are two comics that marked me. I wouldn't say growing up because I was my 20s or some shit. It was Savage Sword of Conan, the 1970s Conan the Barbarian comics. Yeah. Very violent, very sexy, very they don't do them like that anymore. And it was Garth Ennis's run at the Punisher when he brought basically the Punisher in the comics back to more grounded. Of course, there's really warp humor in the comics. It's Punisher Max, by the way. You guys and dolls know. Like before Ennis came, the Punisher was like fighting demons and shit. Yeah, he's the Punisher. He's a hard ass. He zeroes in on a crime family and fucks them. In terms of the Punisher 2004, like The Neighbors, that's from Welcome Back Frank, Ennis's rebirth of the grounded Punisher. That's where they took that from. The film itself, three things always threw me off from the movie. One, that was set in Tampa, but I know why they did. And watching it again recently, it actually played better for me than when I first saw it in 2004. Tax credits, tax incentive. Shooting in New York's expensive. They were supposed to get a budget of 86 million, but they got a budget of 33 million. So that's a lot of script rewrites to scale the movie down, and shooting in Tampa just financially made sense. So I forgive them for that. And I thought on this watch, it actually played well. The other things that bothered me were the fire hydrants and the fire hydrant in the bag. And I call it the Melrose Place games that Frank Castle played, but not as much. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. For now, I just want to say this. I fucking loved the movie on this watch. Loved it. The amount of iconic bits that are in that film, like really subtle shit. So for example, let's just take the first like half hour. In the comics, Frank Castle's wife and kids get whacked when he's in Central Park or something, if I remember correctly. In the movie, his entire family gets whacked. And there's a moment where he's talking with his dad, who's played by the great Roy Scheider. Yeah. And you hear a gunshot, boom. And then he looks and you see like a woman fall, and he goes, "Mom?" And you're like, "Ooh, fuck, that's rough." And then they go about destroying his entire family. So that's called up in the ante on what is. They really went all out. They went up on the bridge. The wife and the kid and the kids are running, and they get run over. Then Frank Castle at some point, he's holding both. He's hugging them, crying. And then the truck comes, and then the music kicks in, dun 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 dun, and he just puts both their heads down at the same time on the ground, and picks up the shotgun and starts going. And I'm like, wow. The film managed to make me feel a lot more than when I first watched it, in the way that it's shot compositions, music. Like when he finds when he's Grizzly Adams and he finds a T-shirt on the beach, and he opens it.
Robinson Crusoe Punisher.
Yeah, exactly. And and he lifts up the T-shirt, and the T-shirt hides his face. And first he kind of has a look of, what the fuck is this? But then when he brings it back down, he's like, and the dude tells him, go with God. And he says something along the lines of, God will sit this one out.
Yeah. God's going to sit this one out. Yeah.
Cold shivers again. I have to say it. Thomas Jane absolutely fucking owns this fucking movie like nobody's business, man. The range of emotions that he shows, internalized though, not like a nut. Just everything's inside and coming out from like when he's interacting with his family, love and relief and happy to be home and shit's behind him, to grief, to pain, to numbness, to the trauma of what he went through affecting him. I mean, nobody ever looked more fucking cool yet somber, sitting there with his fucking wild turkey, fucking drinking that shit. I was completely fucking floored.
I'm going to say this. Let me at least jump in with this, because I think this is a good pause. I do not like this movie. I have a lot of issues. The issue I do not have, though, is Thomas Jane. And I said it in our Punisher Warzone episode with Stevenson. I love Stevenson's vibe a lot. It's somebody commented. I wish I had his name in one of our comments said. Ray Stevenson had a 1,000-yard stare that had its own 1,000-yard stare, and I was like, holy shit, that's perfect. But in that episode, I said that out of all the actors, I think that Thomas Jane is the best in terms of acting. He's the best actor out of all of them. And so I'm 100% going to say this. I have a lot of problems with this movie, but Thomas Jane showed up to fucking work and worked. I would say single-handedly worked harder than the writer, the director, the cinematographer, the score. I mean, he was in such great shape also, but I respect anybody that keeps the chest hair. When I see like a movie, the guy's buff and shaves his chest, I'm always thinking like, that you have to shave that. So when I'm looking at like a clean chest, I'm thinking of like the Punisher, I'm like, So he kept that. I was like, it's cool. Motherfucker's in such good shape. I was like, I didn't go to the gym yesterday. I am such a loser. That being said, no, he's amazing. I think he actually, I 100% agree in terms of the Thomas Jane stuff because I've always liked him. He's a vibe that I dig. And I think with all of my issues, he is clearly trying his ass off to work around a very flawed and awkward script.
And he turned down the role twice because he didn't want to play a superhero. And finally, it was Tim Bradstreet's art. Tim Bradstreet was doing Punisher comic art. I don't know how his art came about in selling T. Jane on it. I just said T. Jane with a straight face. But that's what did it. And he then started reading a lot of Punisher comics, mostly the Ennis stuff. And it sold him on it. He became a huge fan. It's a tour de force. Yeah, I said it. It's a tour de force performance. It really is. Dude, I'm a grown man. I only cry usually when I see my bills, but at the end, spoiler alert, if you're watching this, you haven't seen the movie, I'll be polite, but when he's fucking done at the end and he's drinking that wild turkey, puts the gun and the music by, give me a sec because I know you're going to shit on the music, but the score by Carlo Siliotto, I loved. And the music is playing dun 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 dun. And then he starts, he's got the gun and he starts he's kind of like having a vision of his wife or something like that.
Part of my likes is that part. I think that's a great part. That was the Punisher.
Right here.
That wants to blow his fucking
like
brains
fucking
out.
tearing up, I'm like, nobody saw nothing, but I was tearing up. I'm like, that's powerful shit. So, and I think his performance is so strong that it carries the chain of events, which on this watch, like the stuff with the neighbors, for example.
Oh, no.
Tonally, when I first saw it in 2004, I thought, it's kind of a weird jump. It worked in Welcome Back, Frank in the comics because the Punisher is in the comics is like an old Punisher who's kind of resurfacing. Yeah. And here it's an origin Punisher and he gets these neighbors. And I was watching it with my chick who had never seen it. And I'm like, it's like a French comedy. That's what the vibe.
The worst kind.
But for me on this watch,
you're half French. I get it.
It actually worked. A lot of stuff was lifted from the comic. The fight with the Russians from the comic. The dude with the piercings, played by Ben Foster of all people, getting tortured. That's from the comics. It worked. And this whole like little, he lost his family. Now he has this new little nuclear family. Nobody ever stood up for me before. When Ben Foster says that, I loved it, man. Right? You don't have a heart, man.
My issue, and I should say this right off the bat, I've never read the comics, so my interpretation of the Punisher has always been from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, where he was just a grumpy prick, and just a general consensus of him being like a violent sociopath that wants revenge. So I will admit this fully right now. I've not read the comics, and my love for the Punisher is off of kind of what I think it should be. So I could be wrong because I've done some research, and a lot of shit I hate in this movie has come from the comics. So maybe I don't even like the Punisher comics. I don't know. I don't know what I like.
Well, but it's not a fair comparison because the comic as a whole has its own unique tone. I mean, the Garth Ennis, Punisher
which is what
Max,
people consider the best. I know this.
It has its own unique tone. And it feels like a uniformed tone. In the 2004 movie, it has many tones, but it doesn't feel like as a whole for me on this watch. And I keep saying this pretty much every episode, and I'm going to say it again.
Sure.
Movies today suck. So when I watch a movie like 2004 Punisher today with a style of filmmaking that I can relate to, which reminded me of, Dirty Harry or those old late 70s, like action films. It's not filled with CGI where, it's not a bunch of quick cuts. I find that very endearing. So watching the Punisher 2004, I was totally entranced. I was like, wow. Like I said, average movies of the past are great movies today because movies today suck.
I'm going to give you some positives. Let's start there. I'm not trying to be mean. My notes, likes.
His fucking notes.
I do enjoy the Castle Family Massacre. It was way too bloodless. that's my big thing is the Punisher, I think, should be very gritty. This is not. This is actually a PG-13 movie with like a one fuck and maybe like a little bit of trickle of blood.
Are you kidding, dude? Are you fucking with me? Am I on camera? Is this?
I watched the movie twice, and I watched the 2.5 hour or 45-minute version. So yes, it's bloodless. There's no fucking blood. There's a little trickle. There's a little things here, but it's no.
A guy gets a blade in his fucking skull.
The paper cover.
Yeah.
Real quick, very little blood. I'll put it on camera.
Okay,
but motherfucker, I got this. But I liked, bloodless or not, that he killed his entire family. I agree. I absolutely agree. I like that that he's talking to Roy Scheider, right? They each grab a gun, like they're already ready. They're like, fucking let's do this. Like, okay, if there's going to be a shootout with Thomas Jane and Roy Scheider, I'm not going to complain. Him booby trapping his house. Doesn't really use it as much, but that's a cool scene. He's loading his guns. It's all fucking dark and backlit. He's putting fucking grenades under his sink.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
As much as I think he was underutilized, I do love myself a villain, John Travolta. I grew up with Face Off. And
underutilized? What are you talking about? He fucking rocked that movie, dude.
I just named two that he was superior in, which is Broken Arrow and Face Off.
Yeah.
He should have been more. I wanted more of that. But he has a great line. I'm going to read off. This movie wants to be Miami, but they couldn't afford it, so we're gonna slide on down. The guy's like lost some money, and he says, I wrote it down because it's my favorite. He goes, I'm not covering your fucking losses.
And Mike, if you don't like it, just remember one thing. I've got more guns than you do.
I've got more guns
than you.
Travolta. My argument here is Thomas Jane is actually going above and beyond Jonathan Hensley.
What's your problem with the man's directing? I thought he did a fantastic job at directing.
No, he doesn't. So the writer and director does not understand the tone of what this needs to be. This is a fun, flamboyant, sort of cute picture that somehow Thomas Jane has to be dark in. Everything around Thomas Jane is light. Everything. The tone. He made the Punisher defensive. Punisher is always offensive. Punisher doesn't hang back and wait for things to come to him. He goes and fucking... The entire movie, people are coming at the Punisher. Punisher shows up like once to do something. They think like push money out the fucking window. Besides that, people are always coming to him first. And I'm like, what the... So I felt everything about this movie was just very safe and fun and light.
I don't know, dude. I don't fucking understand how you get safe and fun and light from this fucking movie. There's nothing safe and fun. I will give you this. And it's not like I've noticed it while watching it because, once again, I was engaged in the characters and the situation and the storyline. So I'm not really spending time saying, is he more aggressive or defensive? Yeah, no, he goes to the bank, gets the money.
Which is fine, but that's him being offensive.
Proactive. He's being proactive.
Yes.
Proactive. Okay. But then after that, his proactiveness is Melrose Place games as opposed to violence, planting earrings, parking tickets. And
I'm sorry, but I'm blaming the writer and director in that. Like, and listen, maybe that's what he wants to make.
But you should.
It's not. I don't think it's a common thing. It made great money. I don't want my Punisher.
Actually, it didn't do great money at all. Actually, it cost like 38 million and cost 33. What do you think? Warzone had a super tiny budget.
Gross 54 worldwide. That's a success. Come on, man. Really?
It was not. Why do you think Punisher Warzone had a very tiny budget?
Well, I thought because of the backlash that this got from being I thought there's a lot of issues with
No, man. It didn't clean bank the way that they hoped they would clean bank. I mean, 33 million is pretty low by Hollywood standards. And, they expected more.
I understand that Tampa has a tax credit, but why is it Tampa? Why? I love tropical settings, dude. Thomas Jane dresses like how I want to dress. He when he's bearded, he has his open shirt and he's just fucking white linen.
I thought of you. I'm not gonna lie.
I was like, holy shit! I should look up where do you buy stuff like that? I would dress like that. This should be set in Detroit. It should be set in Chicago. It should be set whatever. It could be. It'll be Montreal. I think it was too bright.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about that, dude. Maybe I've been to Tampa. Maybe I haven't. I don't remember. I don't care. I'm watching a movie. I'm accepting the world that the movie is presenting to me. I'm not comparing it to real life. Look, Punisher Warzone was set in New York, but it was shot in Montreal and
But
looked like
still,
ass.
it's tall building, but
It looked like shit.
I'll take that over this. I do not like.
I'll take this over that.
You're out of your mind. I don't like.
You're out of your fucking mind. You open
yeah.
shirt, motherfucker.
But that's how I know is I belong in the world of Punisher 4. That's my world. That's how I know. I don't dig it. I know this came from a comic, so this is why I'm going to admit it right now that I might not be a Punisher fan. But he's torturing this guy but using a popsicle to fuck with him. Where I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want him putting fire hydrants. I don't want him laying earrings.
I
a long trench coat in Tampa. Motherfucker, why do you think I dress like this living in Vermont that I do? Or I don't know where
Vermont.
I'll live where I want to live. Director-wise, they should have been like, nobody wears long trench coats in fucking Florida. Nobody. Even North Florida. I don't care. No.
It's a movie, right? The Punisher is a cool character. Dude, okay, why does Superman wear a cape? Why does Superman wear a cape? He doesn't need a cape to fly. He flies on his own. Why is he wearing a cape?
Well, I thought the cape was just for aesthetics. I didn't know we needed to actually
why do you think? Why does the Punisher wear a trench coat?
Because it looks cool.
Exactly. That's it. It's a movie. Let it go.
Put it in anywhere, but it doesn't make sense in Tampa, Florida.
It gets nipply in Tampa. It gets nipply. No, I don't know.
Ending scene. Spoilers. When he drags Travolta to his death, blowing up cars, even if it is a copy of The Crow, I'll give you that. That's cool. That's a Punisher move. That's a slow, miserable death. I was like, that's the kind of shit I liked. I think really the last 20 minutes and the first 20 minutes are the Punisher. Here's the issue, and this is why Dirty Laundry is so important to me. When the guy that was like smacking on Rebecca Romijn Stamos,
the ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, and then he fucks around with Ben Foster, and the Punisher basically smacks him and is like, get out of here.
No, he says you shouldn't play with knives.
Yeah, but either way, the guy walks away. Whereas but the Dirty Laundry Punisher that I love would have he would have lost a hand, a finger, a nose, an eye. He would have walked away maybe, but he would have been less of himself. This was very safe. It was very hey, don't do that.
Remember at the end where the Punisher fights one a henchman. He had kind of longish blonde hair, and he shoots his foot, and then somehow winds up putting a knife in his hand. And his reaction, and we're gonna put it right now, is whoa! His reaction kills me every time though. Whoa! It's like a fucking fucking opera singer, yeah. Or when he the Travolta's remaining son, which actually one of my favorite quips, where he goes, you look like you work out, and he gives him the bomb, he ties it or whatever, one hell of a workout. And the kid's holding the bomb, and then comes out, shirt, sleeveless shirt, tank top, I think, black tank top, Howard Saint. And then they have a tete-a-tete, and Travolta says, you killed my son, and you hear, no! And he's like, both of them. That was awesome.
It's not bad.
That was awesome. That was awesome, dude.
But when I think things like this, then I immediately go to Warzone, where he punches a guy's face in and then shoots the guy's jaw off, and the guy's like, Castle! I'm just saying that's the violence that should be in this movie. I mean, I'm not saying it's PG soft, but compared to what the Punisher should be, think of season 2 of Daredevil when he's in jail and he stabs everybody with a broomstick and he's covered in blood and he's just dripping. It's that's what I want.
I understand what you're saying. I do. I really do. I really do. Actually, very little known fact. I was reading the Ennis comic books when Jane's Punisher came out in 2004. I was very disappointed, to the point that I made my own movie inspired by the Punisher in what I wanted to see. Cost 50 G's or some shit like that. Super violent movie called Dead End, and actually kind of became a bit of a thing in the indie world or whatever. Here's a clip for shits and giggles, okay? I now love the movie for what it is, as opposed to looking down on it for what it's not. So for example, Punisher Warzone pretty much gives everything that you just said. Very
Yes.
extreme violence.
Why I prefer it. Yeah.
Oh, I don't, because
Oh, I know you
know,
don't. We
Ray-
had a
Ray-
whole
Ray-
episode.
Race, yeah, we did a whole episode. Check it out. Punisher was anyway. Ray Stevenson, was the rock of that movie. He's the thing. Stevenson and the violence, the Punisher 2004. Yeah, it's not as grisly, it's not as violent, but I'm more engaged by the characters. I'm more engaged by the quote unquote drama. It feels real. When his whole family gets wiped out in the beginning of the movie, I'm fucking feeling it. When he puts a fucking gun to his head with a glass of wild turkey, I'm fucking feeling it. I'm feeling stuff. In Warzone, I'm feeling shit. And the only time that I felt anything is because Stevenson, the stare of the stairs, as we said before,
That is 1,000-yard stare.
Because
1,000-yard stare. Yeah.
and I think we said this in the Warzone episode. Stevenson's in the different movie. Yeah,
Yes.
he's doing a real movie. But unfortunately for him, everything else around him is shit.
But I feel the same with this, only it's a different.
I disagree.
It's a different vibe.
I totally disagree.
Fair
I disagree
enough. Fair
because Punisher 2004 is grounded. It has its moments of eccentricities, if you will, like
a lot.
the Russian, the neighbors, which totally played it.
Yes, dude. I'm sorry. You give me the Russians, or no? I'm sorry. Give me the neighbors. You can't. You got to give.
I like the neighbors on this watch,
neighbors,
dude.
buddy.
I like the
Are so
neighbors.
goddamn goofy that they belong.
They're not.
in Warzone.
Rebecca Roman is actually really underplays it, and really delivers a really credible and grounded performance. Bumpo and dude with the shit in his face, they came across as real people to me. They didn't come across as pastiche or caricatures. They came across as real people. Eccentric, yes, but a real people, and I felt for them, and I thought them trying to have a connection with Castle, I thought was quote unquote touching, if you will.
I guess we're just different people. I found the neighbors to be the Warzone part of this. That's to say that he's they're all dancing and fucking like for some reason in this.
Life's a play, man. You gotta dance.
Nope. If we're not giving Dominic West's goofy ass fucking like Italian performance, I'm not gonna fucking give these guys. They're in my Warzone movie, but it's just there's like I didn't give him anything, Castle. It's like you would have. You would have. Thomas Jane's amazing. John Travolta, Will Patton.
Will Patton is great.
Fucking great. Dude, I mean, this has a cast to kill for. Samantha Mathis, she was Daisy in that amazingly dark in Mario Brothers movie that nobody likes but me. She was also in Broken Arrow, which is fucking rock out.
Pump up the volume, of course. Yeah.
I mean, if you're not, I have it over there because one, Christian Slater, and two, like I was at that age where I was like, yeah, could rock and roll. No, I actually this new watch, I realized the neighbors had a lot more to do than I remember. I was like, oh my god, guys, the guy's like, he comes out with his little spool. He's like, he's never defended me before. I'm like, yeah, but if he had a gun,
You're so cold, bro.
But Thomas Jane and Dirty Laundry gave me my Punisher, and that's why I'm going to say this. When Netflix announced the Punisher, my first thought was, holy shit, are they going to get Jane? And they didn't. And Bernthal's great on his own, and I love them. They were recently shooting together. I think that's even better.
Yeah. Actually, let's show a clip of Thomas Jane and John Bernthal shooting together, just because.
Yeah. I love Dirty Laundry so much. I love it. It's my favorite thing. It's probably my favorite Punisher ever because that's what I want. I want that actor specifically doing that kind of shit where it's just like he's like tired and he's depressed. Thomas Jane finally got his Punisher. I think he knew. He's like, okay, this is what
I agree, actually. I agree. And God willing, but until then, we'll assume. I think that Jane wasn't 100% on the 204 Punisher. And I think Dirty Laundry was kind of like a way for him to make it right for himself. And is also the reason why he didn't want to do Warzone, because they were going for a more comic book vibe to it. And he wanted it to be more like grounded and gritty, which is what Dirty Laundry is like. Yeah.
And I kind of I wish I could see him doing more of this. So in the end,
Jane had the darkness, the sadness, I'm dead inside kind of shit, going for him.
I mean, it was just
And,
drinking. I like that. That makes a lot more
yeah,
sense.
yeah. At the end of the day, that's how you communicate it. He's drinking wild turkey. What about you guys in dolls? Punisher 2004. Trying to think of a joke. I don't have one. When's the last time you saw it? Like, and I'm really going to make a point. If you're going to comment and talk about how you felt about it in 2004 or 2006 or whatever, no. If you watched it like 5 months ago, 4 months ago, then, okay, then your opinion has validity. I watched that movie in 2004 and I was, half and half. I watch it today, different ball game. Stab the comments below, blow up the comments below, gun down the comment below. Let us know what you think, Punisher 2004.